All right, welcome back. Joining us virtually this afternoon is our financial expert, Nick Sapienza. Good afternoon, Nick. How are you doing today?
Hey, Taylor, doing great.
So today we're talking all about that kind of infamous cargo ship that was blocking the Suez Canal. I guess the question for you today is, are we seeing any impacts right now in the U.S. in our markets?
Yeah, it's a great question. Right when you think the supply chain issue couldn't get any worse, here we are. Yes, we are feeling effects of a supply chain constraint currently. Will that be made worse? Probably so, right? It started with COVID. We saw surges in demand. We saw shipping container constraints. So there were already constraints that existed. This exacerbated that a bit. And it's not over yet, right? Bottlenecks at the incoming ports are basically phase two of this problem that are expected to be pretty severe and backlogging things for maybe several months. And then there's some other experts that have said that they think the consequences will have an impact that lasts for several years because the disruption is so vast, especially for other international countries. They expect the effects to be somewhat limited for the U.S., but think about it, you disrupt assembly lines internationally, which is where we get most of our goods. I would expect us to feel something at some point, maybe sort of a delayed effect. But think about this, right? Many companies are operating with a just-in-time inventory system. So this is probably going to have a pretty big ripple effect. To the magnitude, I couldn't tell you. Could an additional hiccup in the supply chain jolt prices further? Could you see your refrigerators and washers and dryers and Peloton bikes be further delayed? Probably so. I think that's reasonable. You probably see some price increases further price increases than what we've seen so far. But as for investing, I'm not big into marine arbitrage, to be honest, right? I'm certainly not a supply chain expert, but I am an investor, and I could think of some creative ways to trade this, but that's not really short-term day trading. It's not really my game either. We're long-term investors. Mm-hmm. And for long-term investors, this is yet another time where you can do nothing and get rewarded. But if it causes a rift in quality stocks, then you as an opportunity to buy more.
And so I know you were talking, it's kind of hard to tell. You're anticipating that we will see some of these impacts, but now that kind of things are kind of on the upside, how long do you think until we see more impacts on the markets? I know it's probably like a case-by-case basis, so to say.
Yeah. Could see impacts happening, next week or 6 months from now. Maybe there's a lagging effect when we fully realize the brunt of the supply chain. And the further disasters that could create. So it could be a lot.
And Nick, you always explain things so great in great kind of easy to digest tidbits. If people want to learn more or contact you, how can they find you?
Thank you. Best way to contact me is through email. It's nicks@goldswell.com.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us virtually today.
Thanks, Taylor.
And if you guys want to rewatch this, it'll be up on our website, klef.com. But let's go ahead and check in with meteorologist Adam Olivier.